Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paige, this is Seeking Alexandria, and y'all, we're about to bring some color into our lives because today we are looking at the ABH and Alyssa Edwards palette. Look at all the hot pink cuteness. I am so excited to dive in. As you can tell, I have it swatched on my arm. Girl, look at these colors. Like, we're gonna get vibrant. And I was sitting here thinking about the look for today and trying to figure out, like, what do I want to do? What do I want to delve into? And I feel like I've seen this on social media a little bit. Now, keep in mind, I do my best to not look at actual reviews before I review a product, so I could just be missing a bunch of them, but I feel like as of right now, I'm not seeing a lot of people really take advantage of the shade Dream It, which is this really beautiful matte blue shade. So I definitely want to incorporate that, I think, in some way. I'm okay with going into like some color and really getting there today. I don't want like a structured cut crease. I've seen a lot of those, and as you guys know, I talk about this all the time on my channel. When it comes to eye looks and new palettes, everybody always wants to go for like this dark, crazy, like overbearing, super structured, like everybody wants to show their talent, which is awesome, but I believe that there's such a simplistic beauty in just taking your time blending shadows and getting like a seamless blend and doing it in that kind of way. Like, that's what I prefer, and I really like it. I love a cut crease, don't get me wrong, but I really also love looking at the more blown out eye looks and how they can just be so soft and smooth and transitioned and beautiful in that respect, like a nice smoothness to them. So I probably am going to go that route. Now, along with this, as most of you know, they did also release a new primer, and what I actually really loved about this release is that for $13 you could buy this guy, which was the mini version, or for $23 you could also buy the full size. Now, it's probably a better deal to buy the full size, but given I'm not sure if I'm gonna like it or not, I thought it was really cool that they did offer a mini version just so you could test it, try it, and see what you think. So we're gonna be giving this a go today as well, and just going in with the palette. So let me go ahead and get started so far with the details of this guy. So looking at the palette here, it is the standard 14 pan arrangement that we know and love from ABH. The shade sizes are 0.028 ounces a piece, which you guys know is not my favorite preferred size, but nonetheless it is very consistent with what we're used to seeing from them for pan sizes and for amount of products. It is a very bold, beautiful arrangement of colors. You have some shimmers, some mattes, you have neutrals, you have a lot of pops of color. I would say it's pretty evenly weighted, 7 pops, 7 neutrals, which is nice if you're going for like an all over day feel, night feel. You want something or a palette that can really do everything or every look. I do think this is something you could get a lot of use out of for that reason, which is nice. Now, if you're looking for very strictly, you know, I just want a pop of color or I just want a neutral, this obviously won't be the palette for you because you'd only get a use out of half the palette or the other half of the palette, which is useless. Now, as far as price, this palette does retail for $45, which is actually the same price according to the Ulta website as the Riviera palette, but all the other 3 previous palettes that I'm seeing on there are set to $42. So I'm not sure if it's just because this one is a collab or I don't know why the Riviera was a couple dollars more, but I wasn't shocked when I saw that this was a couple dollars more because a lot of times when brands do a collab, they have to up the price to pay out the person that they did the collab with. So obviously Alyssa Edwards is making some money off of this collab, and that's kind of how they try to fit a portion of that money in, is by upping the price a couple of dollars. So I wasn't surprised. The only other thing I wanted to mention before we dive into the video is that I'm a little bit bummed out when I was going through and swatching these, and I don't think it was anything you could really see in swatch. When you were up close, you might have seen it a little bit, but some of these swatched really beautifully. For example, yellow and blue, this pink right here, like these ones up in this end, swatched stunningly. They were so smooth, beautiful, the pigmentation was rich. But when I got down here to BBDC or even to the black shade Beast, those were so insanely difficult to swatch. There's obviously nothing on my fingers. They might be a little stained from swatching, but I'm just gonna show you guys, like, go in here, okay? I have a good amount of product on my finger, and if I go in to swatch this, it just, like, the pigmentation is just so rough. Now, that was just that one swipe. I'm actually gonna go ahead and just to compare it here, I'm gonna grab the shade Dream It, which is right here, and I just wanna show you, and I just kicked off some of the product, but like, look at the difference in pigmentation and in vibrancy and in overall everything. Like, you can really see a big difference. And if I go into this blue one here and I rub over top of it a little and I even out what's left over, it's beautiful, it's full of pigment, it's nice and smooth. But on my finger, even this purple one right here, you can see it's patchy. And if I go in and rub that, like, nothing happens. And I grabbed a lot of product on my finger from both of them. So I did notice that the pigmentation was a little bit patchy when I swatched it. And for some of them, it was very patchy. So just something to note going into it. When I'm going in to do my eyes right now, I am kind of going in with that mindset. I did just want to point out before some of you start to come for me and say like, well, Paige, those are pressed pigments. Yes, these two right up here, the hot pink and this bright blue, which I did just swatch for you like a live swatch, these are both pressed pigments as well. Now, so is the BBDC, which I told you did not swatch very well. And so is the shade Believe right here. All four of those are pressed pigments. According to the ABH website, those are the only four that are pressed pigments. And I just wanted to point out yet again for consistency that these two swatched beautifully. This one swatched pretty good. It was like, kind of okay. And this one swatched not good at all. I had to build it up. It was very difficult to manipulate. So just to put it out there, it's not because something is a pressed pigment or not a pressed pigment so far that might be, you know, contributing to it when they go on the lids. But something just to point out there is that sometimes pressed pigments can manipulate differently than an actual eyeshadow or a normal eyeshadow. Something to put out there so you guys know I have kind of evaluated all sides of this coin. So let's go ahead and zoom you guys in and let's get started on an eye look, honey. Okay, so now we're going to dive into this primer to prime the lids. Now, because I've never worked with this, I'm only going to do one eye at a time just in case it dries down quick or whatever's going on there. And it looks like you get 0.24 fluid ounces. So let's go ahead, take a little bit, swatch it out. Okay, my initial reaction is, wow, is that really creamy? Followed by, this isn't the type of primer that like the color is going to dissipate. Wow. The coverage is fantastic, y'all. Can I get this as in a foundation? Like, damn. But I really like that, but I'm also super fair. So I think that this is going to work for me, but if it has this much pigment to it, I'm not sure how this would work for a medium to deep skin tone because like the color doesn't dissipate at all. This isn't one of those primers that goes on and like buffs into your skin tone, I'm assuming, because it looks like a concealer. So something to know, it does feel really nice, thick, but not overly heavy. And it actually has like a nice light kind of a velvet feel, a little bit of transfer, but it's also not dry. I like this actually. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, take some of this, put it on the lid. Also, I just wanna know if you guys, while you're up close to me, if you see something funky with my foundation, I'm also doing a foundation review right now, which you will be seeing here in the next couple of days. So just to point that out, if you're like, hey girl, what's going on, you know, XYZ, you'll soon find out, I promise. But just so you know, it's happening. All right, so I went ahead and got that all good and patted in, and I'm going to be starting off with the Sigma E25 blending brush. It's kind of a flatter paddle style. It lets you really press the color down, which is best when you're working with a pressed pigment. And that being said, I'm going to start off with Believe, which is one of the pressed pigments according to the ABH website. And I'm going to start doing that all through the crease, the lower portion of the crease, almost as though it were a halo eye kind of effect. I want to run that and pack it in through that whole area. And I'm mainly looking to get it down and then lightly blend and buff out the edges. So this one definitely packed on okay, but as I go in to try and like blend out the edges, I am noticing that it doesn't want to blend very well. I'm hoping that that's just because this is more of a tacky base and maybe it's just having a rough time. Like right through there, you can see how there's just like that harsh line. It does not want to blend right there, which is a little bit frustrating. But maybe when I go in with the next color, maybe that'll kind of dissipate. But like right through here, it's a little patchy. So next up, I'm gonna grab my Colourpop E9, which as you can see, it's kind of a smaller fluffy brush. And I'm gonna go into Texas Made, which is the nice hot pink shade. Now this one in swatch did seem to manipulate a lot better as a pressed pigment. We're gonna go ahead and start taking that all up along the edge of that purple and blending and buffing it into the purple. And maybe that will create a better fade between the two. Okay, well, I can tell you guys pretty quick, this pink shade buffs out beautifully. Like the pink shade I don't have any issue with. It appears to be blending and buffing and building just splendidly. But that purple shade, I'm having a really hard time even softening that edge right there. Like you can still see a very distinct line. And if you guys are new here, I absolutely hate when you can see a harsh line like that. I like everything to look like it just seamlessly goes from one shade to the next. So I'm actually going to go back in with that other Sigma E25 and a little bit of that shade Believe and try to blend between those two colors just a little bit. After some maneuvering and possibly some future carpal tunnel surgery, I think I have blended enough. Girl, I need a break from this wrist. I think I like that transition. It did blend. We are good to go. Okay, let's keep working. Thank you, Jesus. As I just realized, I didn't even like introduce this palette. I didn't talk about Alyssa Edwards. I didn't talk about any of that. I am so sorry. I was just so excited. It took me this far to realize I didn't introduce the palette at all. But if you don't know who Alyssa Edwards is, she is a drag queen extraordinaire, if you will. Insanely talented when it comes to makeup and just being out there, putting herself out there, being absolutely stunning, wigs on point. And can I also just add real quick, like, what do I think of when I think of Alyssa Edwards? Aside from the fact that she can dance better in heels than I could walk in a pair of sneakers, it's fine. But like, aside from all that, the talent, the makeup, bitch, that tongue pop, it is it is unbelievable. It's like, except it's just like, it like resonates. Did you hear my, like, it sounds like, that's all I got. It's useless. And then there's hers, and it just like echoes through the halls of life. It's just unbelievable. I know out of all the things to be known for, a tongue pop, but I'm just like, oh my god, it's so good. Okay, so back to the eye look. Wow. I'm gonna grab this Morphe. This is their Morphe Jaclyn Hill brush, JH34, which it looks a little bit busted, rusted, crusted. It's a little stained as well, my bad. But I'm gonna grab the shade Brick Road, which is that beautiful bright yellow shade, and I'm going to basically take that on the outskirts of the pink, just like we took the pink on the outskirts of the purple, and I'm gonna blend that up toward my brow bone and really use this shade to brighten up my entire eye and help make the whole thing look a little bit more open. Okay, so this yellow, by the way, oh my good word, I love this color. This is so easy to use. Now, we're not going to be done with this color quite yet. Now, because I have hooded eyes, I did take that all the way up to my brow bone right there. You can leave a little definition if you want to. I'm actually going to go back in and blend the pink up, but just so you know, y'all, that yellow, gorgeous. I'm also going to take it though, while I'm right here with it on this good little fluffy brush, I'm going to pop it right on down here because I am going to want that for the inner portion of the eye. And I am taking this shade pretty bold on the inner eye as well. Look at that, like bam, you're gonna know she's there. And that's exactly what we want. And I will go in with a little bit of a highlight and pop it on the inner corner to kind of go over top of that and magnify that yellow, and it'll look really pretty. Right now though, I do want to go back in with that Colourpop E9 with that hot pink shade. I'm gonna grab just a little bit more, and I'm going to, just like I did before with that purple, I'm going to take this pink and run that up and transition it a little bit more into the yellow shade, just to help create that nice even fade. And just by doing these couple simple, like go back over, go to the previous color, blend it back in, it really just creates the most seamless gradient. And I can already tell you, especially now after blending and working with that pink shade twice, it as a pressed pigment is blending a lot better than that purple. But once you are able to get that purple shade down and on your lid, it looks gorgeous. Like, I don't have an issue with the color, the tone, nothing. It's just getting it to blend that was a little bit on the rough side. All right, now for this last step, I'm going to be taking the shade Dream It, that bright blue shade, and I'm actually going to be taking the double-ended ABH brush that comes in the kit, and I'm going to take that and pack it over the center of the lid where there isn't any color, and I'm going to blend that into the purple shade that we started with. Y'all, this color is ridiculous. Look at that. Like, that shade is so good. Oh my god, I had a tiny bit of fallout from it, but wow, is that so good. Oh my gosh. As I mentioned, a tiny bit of fallout, but honest to god, this was such an easy shade to use. Like, it went on, it pressed in, the color, it's so rich, it's even. I have no complaints. Now, on the other end right here, there is no product on this double-ended ABH brush here, and I'm just taking that and running it through the crease where that blue transitions with that purple. Holy crap. Now, I am going to go through just like I have with all the rest here, and I'm going to lightly blend the purple shade in with the blue. Just very lightly, because that blue pretty much just, I mean, it sat right down and like blended in with that fluffy end of the other brush, but just to make sure, I mean, I think everything, wow, that looks so blended. Holy bejesus. So for the lower lash line, I'm going to take BBDC and the Morphe Jaclyn Hill JH42 brush, and I'm going to smudge that up along the lower lash line up until about a third, I would say, on the outer V, and then go in with the hot pink and use that to bridge the gap between the yellow and that dark purple. I'm also going to take on the other end of this ABH brush, the one that to now I haven't used with any product, and I'm just going to scoop up a tiny bit of the hot pink shade, just a little bit on that, and I want to fluff it underneath of the dark purple shade that I put on the outer V, just to kind of pull that brightness all the way through. Oh god, that looks That looks really pretty. Wow. Just in case you're asking me right now, like, Paige, why didn't you go in with any of the shimmers? There are 3. I swatched them right here. Why didn't you go in with any in this eye look? And I guess the best answer I could give you is that I really wanted to see how the mattes performed, because out of everything I've swatched and touched multiple times, I feel like these are the most consistent item in the palette. I mean, all of them through and through, they just look so good. So there they are in swatch, again, just all together. Very consistent. They're all very similar in their texture, their fluidity. They all have a little bit of like a metallic kind of a flake to them, which I'm not mad at. It's pretty typical for a product like this. I do feel like the pink one has the most of it right down here, but overall, very consistent. I do think though, for this eye look, it would look really pretty to take a little bit of that gold one and just pop that on the inner portion of the eye. Now that being said, I am going to take on this little BH16 brush. It's a tiny, tiny little flat paddle brush. I'm going to take a little bit of the shade Inspire, which is the gold metallic shade, and I'm just going to pop that right here on the inner corner. Now, because I'm fair, I will probably go over this here in a second with my Ofra Glazed Donut highlight just to build it, but that's a really, oh my god, like that's so cute. I'm actually gonna go in here with my Ofra Glazed Donut. Boom, this is my jam. Same brush, and we're just gonna take and pop that right on over top. Oh, hello, good morning. That is so, so pretty. I love that. I'm also gonna take a little bit on the same brush and hit the brow bone highlight. Now this is going to be quite poppin', but I also want it to be ever so slightly. I don't want to take away from any of the yellow and the pink that I have blended up here. Now I obviously have to go ahead and do this other eye, so I'm going to go do that off of camera, and I think I'm going to try that one with a different base just to see if that changes the application at all. So let me go ahead and finish up the rest of my face, and I will come back on, give you my final thoughts, overall opinions, all that good stuff. So hang tight and I will be right back. Okay, you guys, this is the finished look. What do you think? Personally, love the way the eyes came together. I have a couple thoughts that I kind of want to conclude on, but overall, I feel like this eye look looks so beautifully like blended, structured, put together. It fits the eye nicely, and I think it's the kind of eye look you could do no matter what your eye shape is, which is really nice. A couple things to note: if you see right here how there's almost no color, that is because, y'all, my eye is leaking so bad right now. It has been leaking non-stop. Like, it's almost raw on that outer portion right there, so don't mind that there's nothing there. I apologize. That's why we're just gonna keep our head turned. No big deal. Now, aside from that, let's go ahead and talk about the logistics, because when I went through, I told you guys I was gonna do this eye off of camera, and I wanted to try it with a different primer. So I went in with my Tarte Shape Tape in Porcelain Beige, which is my normal go-to primer. I really like it. It's a nice concealer. It has a matte consistency when it dries down, but it works really well as an eyeshadow primer for my eyes. And I will say, for the most part, these performed pretty well on the lid. I think that purple shade, the initial one that I put on this eye that I had a hard time with, it blended out better with concealer. But also to note, this eye with the ABH primer dries down a lot faster than the concealer does. And so when I was applying the blue shade at the very end to this eye, it was very, this is how much you get. That color didn't really soak into the concealer. And on this eye, because I used concealer, I noticed that the blue shade, I applied it, and I actually had to go back in when I was almost completely finished with my makeup and add a little bit more of that blue color, because it did soak into the concealer, just like how lotion kind of soaks into your hands. Because the concealer stayed tacky for so long, the color and the pigment did soak in, and it just left me looking a little patchy. Now, that's not the fault of the shadows, that's just using a different primer, and a big difference I noticed. So if you like to have a little bit more time to work, I would probably stick with your concealer. If you don't mind having it get a little bit tacky a little quicker, maybe you work one eye at a time, or maybe you're just going in with a quicker look in general. I actually really do like this primer. I will say that, like, point blank, I will use it again. It worked so nicely. It was very easy to blend on top of, and despite having that one purple that was problematic, I felt like it just did a great job. Great primer, no issues. It didn't get patchy, it didn't ball off my eye. As far as the palette goes, overall, I like it. I feel like the consistency is there for most of the shades. The shimmers, obviously, I didn't dive into a ton, but I do feel like they were the most consistent. As far as the shadows go, I only had an issue with those two shadows being a little bit patchy. The blue is like the standout for me. Like, that looks so insanely rich in pigment. It is so beautiful. Like, I'm die hard obsessed with that. Now, something I didn't talk about earlier was actually this white shade, and I just wanted to touch on it real quick because ABH, I really loved the white shade that was in their Riviera palette, and I don't know if this is just mine, but like I'm getting in there, I'm pressing into this, and the color payoff that I get, like I don't think you can see it on camera. It is very, very patchy. That's actually why I didn't use it. Like, you can barely see anything. It's almost coming off more as like a light shine shimmer than it is a matte shadow, and I cannot get this to be a white shadow in any sense of the word. Like, I actually went in earlier and I actually scraped off, and I'll do it on camera. I'm scraping, okay? I just scraped a little bit off. I think you can see it on my nail right there. I'm gonna go in and grab a little bit more. I'm still getting a very patchy pigment, but it is the most sheer color. Like, just to bring you guys in, it is so painfully sheer. So for me, this white shade is definitely probably the most disappointing thing out of the palette. Like, even the patchiness of the pressed pigments, all of that aside, I'm really, really bummed out about this. And I want to hear from you guys. If any of you pick up this palette, is that something that happens with yours? I don't know if it's just a me palette thing or not. All of that out of the way, I do just want to mention real quick what is on the lips, because I know I'm gonna get questions for it, girl. I'm wearing a combination of these two guys right here. This is the Buxom lip liner in Incognito with a little bit of the Colourpop So Juicy lip gloss in the shade Beachwood. Now, everything that is on my face will of course be listed down below, and you will be seeing this foundation review coming up in the next couple of days, so definitely stay tuned for that. But you guys, this is it. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. Let me know what you think down below. The palette, the collection, what are your thoughts and opinions overall? And guys, let's get back to what's really important. Can you pop your tongue? Because I still can't. Like, I played with the palette, I've channeled the Edwards, and I can't do it. Anyways, you guys, sorry, I'm getting a little bit tired. Leave me your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think of the collection, everything like I said. Don't forget, while you're down there, check me out on Instagram and on Twitter. They're both listed in the description box right above those comments. So definitely be sure to check me out in both of those places. They're both hyperlinks listed in the description, so all you have to do is click them, click follow. I mainly live my life over on Instagram, and I love it. I hang out with you guys all the time. It is so much fun to just be able to exist with you guys in a world where it's like, I'm here, we do videos, we learn, and then you follow me to my real life. We talk about my dogs, pizza that didn't show up on Memorial Weekend that personally crushed my soul, all the fun things, all the things that really matter. Y'all, we talk about them over there. I do makeup looks, I like bloggy style posts, I do all kinds of stuff, so definitely check me out over there. And if you haven't done so yet, please don't also forget you can subscribe and turn on any post notifications here on the wonderful world of YouTube, my friends, because I upload 5 videos a week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They go up bright and early between 6 and 7 a.m. my time here in Northern Michigan. We talk about everything that's new, old, love it, we hate it, whatever the case may be. We go through it here every single week, Monday through Friday. So you guys definitely subscribe, again, turn on your post notifications, and that is it. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do not forget to have a great day, night, weekend, whatever it is when you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Guys, that shade is a money maker. Look at, I can't get over how like bright that is. This just went from like, oh, this could be something, to like, bam, I look like a peacock canary boat. Holy bejesus, look at how those look so good. Also, let me go ahead and finish up the rest of my face. Oh my god. That is something in my eyeball. Like, the tongue pop on that woman, oh my good lord. It's like, except it's just, whoa, like it resonates. I've never even, I don't know how you do it. Like, clearly, did you guys just hear my little tongue? I don't have a tongue pop. It's useless. But hers is just whoom, and it's so good, and it's just, it's on point every time, and you just like, it resonates through the halls of love, life, and freedom. And mine's over here just like, sounds like a frog farting in the water. My god, Paige, you took that too far.